All right, guys, are you ready to get Stuckmanized?
Stuckmanized?
You've clearly never watched a Chris Stuckman
I
video.
haven't. Sorry, I thought
Never?
you came. No.
I
thought you came up with that.
You thought... Most definitely not.
Okay.
That's how he ends every one of his videos. You can click right here and get Stuckmanized. You've never heard this? Wow.
No.
So, yeah, Chris Stuckman. He made a movie. It finally happened. Kaylee has never watched a Chris Stuckman video in her life, I guess.
I know who he is.
Yeah.
And I've seen, like, clips of videos from you watching them, but, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I found Chris, like a lot of people, many, many years ago on YouTube. You know, I think the video that kind of really got me to like him was the problem with horror movies today, I think is what that was called. And he definitely pointed out some things that I was like, yeah, I agree with this, I agree with that, whatever. I think what's really important and exciting about this film is that, you know, for all intents and purposes, Chris is one of us, so to speak, right? Like, he's a guy who started a YouTube movie review channel, and he was able to turn that into a launch pad for his feature film debut, which he got Neon and Mike Flanagan on board to do. So this feels like a monumental achievement.
Absolutely.
To people like us. It's like, wow, okay. Now, obviously, he's wildly successful and much more successful than we'll ever be as far as, like, the YouTube channel thing goes. And I'm made my peace with that. We don't appeal to the wide audience that he does. And, you know, it is what it is. But regardless, it's still exciting. And, you know, putting your opinion of Chris Stuckman aside, there's definitely Chris Stuckman haters. The bigger you get, the more haters you draw. That's just kind of how it always goes. That's why I made that shirt. I can't wait to be overrated. Because once you're overrated, you've made it, man. So yeah, this was exciting. This was an exciting process. I've been following it since the beginning, since he announced it. And it was the AMC Scream Unseen tonight. I pretty much figured that's what it was going to be. And you know, thankfully, they play these on the East Coast 3 hours earlier, so I can always get confirmation from people I know out there to be like, hey, yeah, it's definitely this movie.
Yeah.
So, Shelby Oaks, what's this? So, when it was originally announced, I feel like most people that we all thought it was going to be found footage. And that's kind of how it was announced and whatever. And while there is found footage elements in the movie, it is for sure not a found footage film. I mean, even calling it found footage hybrid, I feel would be not accurate. There is an opening that is very mockumentary style. And then, you know, the rest of the film pretty much, like 90% of the film is a traditional film. So, for anyone who was wondering if this is found footage, I can confirm that parts, very small parts of it, are mockumentary style with found footage being used within that mockumentary, literal found footage. And then we have just traditional filmmaking from there on. So anyway, this is about a woman who is being interviewed about the disappearance of her sister, who she hosted a show, and her and her friends go missing. Some of them are found, some of them are not.
Yeah.
And one of those, well, I should say, her sister, she's out. She doesn't want to give up.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone else has. Something happens, which I guess motivates her further, and you know, the hunt is on to try to find out what happened to her sister. Yeah, Kayla, what did you think?
I thought it was great. I actually was really into this. I think that it has a really fantastic atmosphere. I found that it was very streamlined and really wastes no time with the story, which might annoy some people potentially, but for me, I just think that it flowed really great from like beginning to end. All the beats were hit for me. I loved the lead actress's performance. I thought that she gave just a fantastic performance. The way that she was reacting to things that were happening, I feel like it really built the tension in a lot of the scenes. So that was definitely a standout for me. And I like the inclusion of some of the found footage elements too. I think that the blending of those in there were really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I don't know which way to take this when it comes to him, because I want to just take this movie and review it as if it was anybody else, right? I feel like a lot of people are going to go into this movie and they're going to be hypercritical. You know, like when Chris started making this movie, he made a decision. I don't know if I agree with this decision or not, but he decided that he was only going to, from that point on, review movies that he liked. He basically said, like, I don't feel right criticizing film as much anymore now that I'm making a film. And I think that this was a calculated decision where he was trying to kind of retroactively go back and give himself some time between the process of him making the film, you know, and make it look like he has this catalog of positivity without the criticism aspect, so that when people look at his work over the last few years, they can't point to that being like, well, this guy knocks every fucking film, and then he makes a movie like this. Well, it's my turn to knock him, right?
I mean, there's definitely going to be people that are going to want to just kind of rag on it because
sure,
it's him.
That's what I'm saying.
But
he made this decision to not criticize film, and I think that was a choice that he made specifically for this reason. And, you know, also because once you start making a movie, you do start to see that no one sets out to make a bad film.
No,
and
of course not.
It, you know, when it, you know, it's very hard to do, and it's very hard to do well. And I think that you start to see, like, oh, you know, it's so easy to sit behind, you know, this camera and you know, be the backseat driver.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to get at is what I couldn't really figure out here is the streamlined nature of this. This is an extremely quick, extremely straightforward film that wastes zero time with absolutely anything. And a lot of film reviewers, like, their main criticism, and I kind of hate it, honestly, because I feel like it's the blanket kind of like criticism now. Every film can be shorter. Every film, I could have cut 20 minutes. I could cut 15 minutes. I could cut an hour out of this movie. I fucking hear it in every review I listen to. Right? Every movie's too long. And it's like, I feel like this movie, there's no way that criticism is going to happen. Right? It's like, it's like impervious to that criticism, because there's nothing you could cut out of this movie. It is as tight as possible. And you know, there's something to be said for the flip side of that too, where maybe a movie does need a little more time to breathe, where maybe, you know, having some longer scenes that build mood and tension could be added back in. I'm not saying that is 100% the case here. It's just that this movie felt so fast. Like, when it was over, I was like, whoa, that's the movie? That felt like it was freaking 30 minutes long. So in one way, that's going to be very exciting for some people, right?
Yeah.
Like, they want movies to move. People have no attention span anymore. And yeah, this movie is fast.
I don't think that it's too fast. It would have, I mean, I feel like we get all the information we need. I feel like I was very satisfied with the story and the conclusion, personally. If there was another, like, 20 minutes of footage, I would have been excited to see it, but I don't feel like, for me, I don't feel like I missed out on anything necessarily. But,
no, I don't think that there's anything, quote-unquote, missing from the story. I think everything makes sense how it is. You can piece everything together. Everything is there, right? So in that respect, it's fine. I think because I was enjoying what I was getting, maybe in this instance, right, less is more, and that's totally fine. But because the movie is called Shelby Oaks, and we do kind of tease this place called Shelby Oaks that they're gonna, end up in, I would have liked to have spent more time, canvassing and exploring Shelby Oaks as a town, and more goings on within it. It is just a very straightforward film, and that is fine. I quite liked the movie. I think that there is really good things in it. I think that it does feel pretty in line with something from Neon. I think that, it has some, and I don't know, like you had talked about in the car, I don't know if this is like contractually obligated that Mike Flanagan works on something and they have to insert Flanaganisms, but they definitely exist within this movie, and I think that will become a running joke with any film he's attached to. You'll know it if you know what that thing is.
I really like it.
But it works here.
It does.
It doesn't
and we
feel,
talked about it too.
It doesn't feel forced. It's not like Mike Flanagan came on board and he was like, "Well, I do this in all my films. You have to do it here." And it's like, no, it
has a purpose.
Very 100%. Much so.
And even if it didn't have a purpose and it was just like an aesthetic thing, like we're being very vague, but you might be able to guess what this is. Personally, I still really like that inclusion. And aside from that, there's also some other really cool visual stuff happening. There's a lot of like blink and you'll miss it, things happening in the background and the periphery, which I love in horror movies. I think that's a really underrated thing that people just don't do enough because it adds rewatchability to a film if there's things that you might have missed on a first watch that when you go back and you're like, oh, I never noticed that figure or like whatever that writing thing on the wall. I think it's great. As far as any of the like the gore or anything, I thought all that was fine. This definitely isn't the kind of like a gore fest film or anything. I think that it's used very, sparingly. I'll say tastefully, but sparingly. Yeah. But it does look good, what we get of it. Everything else for me, this film was really heavy atmosphere, and it's all about the relationship between Mia and her sister Riley, and the fact that Mia's looking for her. Mm-hmm. So, and for me, because I have a younger sister, I was really into that story plot because I felt like I could really relate to the passion, I guess, in Mia's character for like finding her sister. Because I'm like, that would be me. I would be doing the same thing. So, yeah.
Well, seeing as how my brother literally almost just died in the hospital 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate very heavily. I would do anything for him. So, I understand that. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is probably, he'll get shit either way, right? Like, as we said, there's people who are looking to criticize absolutely anything because he made a career out of criticism. It's like Roger Ebert or somebody making a movie, right? Like, they are going to be under more of a, microscope than a random filmmaker they've never heard of. That's to be expected, and Chris knows that, right? He's not an idiot. He knows exactly what kind of response he's going to get from other reviewers, because now it's our turn, right? You think you know what you're talking about, and there will be some jealousy too from film reviewers that are like, I wish I could make a movie with Neon, right? You better have made the best movie ever. I'm going to be mad at you, right? Like, that's not how I went into this movie at all. I think he played it fairly safe, but I also think he made the film he set out to make. But I know that, like, making some hyper ambiguous,
like art house
film, like an A24 kind of style film, I don't know how well that would be received, and I feel like he'd get way too much pushback for that. Now, is that the kind of movie he would want to make at all? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Right? Maybe this is exactly the kind of movie he wanted to make, but I also have to wonder how much, like, thought process went into the reaction of like, okay, like what kind of movie should I make first? And then from there, I can take bigger swings and I can become a little more artsy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this kind of reminds me of, other films that we have talked about on here, that are similar in tone to some of those A24 type films. As I said, it fits the Neon catalog. I feel, you've got touches of like The Dark and the Wicked. You've got touches of, even Longlegs at times. Stuff. It's got an evilness to it for sure.
Definitely. That's what I was meaning about
the atmosphere is quite good, and our lead performer is quite good. I would have liked. I don't know. I feel like her husband's character is almost pointless, right? And I like Brendan Sexton III a lot, as an actor. All the way back to his Empire Records days. And of course, Session 9 being one of the best atmospheric horror films of all time, and him being one of the stars of that movie. I almost feel like he's wasted as a talent. I feel like he's a good actor. I like him as a person and as an actor, but his character is just like there and gone, and it's over. It's like, okay, whatever. Moving on. He becomes that kind of stereotypical stand-in husband character, and I'm like, that's lame. I would have liked to have seen more out of that. But yeah, the only thing I can say to expect with this movie is don't expect a whole hell of a lot going on, right? It is very, very straightforward, very, very minimalistic, but effective. And there's something to be said for that, right? While it might be simple, and it's not super deep, it doesn't have a lot of subtext, anything like that, right? There's not a ton to read into. There's not like mountains of lore to obsess over, and none of that is applicable here. But I think what he does well, right? It's just very, very quick, very straightforward, very simple, and well made.
Yeah.
And I think that as long as you go in with that expectation, you'll be fine. But if you're expecting just so much more than this, and I think I don't know what the response to this movie is going to be. I don't know. I'm so curious. I'm
curious to see what people will say too, just because of how big of a name he is, and how anticipated the film is. I think the other thing too to point out is that I really appreciate the marketing for the film. The trailer is really great, because I think that there's some scenes that are slightly different, I think, in the trailer than what they are in the actual film, which I always really like when trailers do that, because it gives you, like the taste and the flavor, but then you still get a little bit of like a surprise when that scene shows up in the film and doesn't play out like 100% the way you think it does based on the trailer.
Yeah.
I think that's very cool. But it's still, like it totally captures like the atmosphere of the movie, which is great. For me, the standout is definitely like the atmosphere and the performance of the actress who plays Mia.
Yeah.
By far. But everybody in the film, I think, does a great job. I don't think there's any bad performances from anybody. So, yeah. Really cool visual stuff. As you said, a very effective film. I think it's a success. I think he should be proud of what he made, regardless of kind of, although I suppose that's hard to say, because, you sort of bank on having some success to continue your career, but it does, from my perspective, I feel like there's a lot to be proud of with this.
Yeah, sure.
For him. So, yeah.
I guess another film really quick off the top of my head that this is reminding me of is the Blair Witch 2016.
I was definitely getting Blair Witch vibes. Some of like the opening and like just the general story with the paranormal paranoids definitely has like a Blair Witch type of vibe to it.
When you said that this is based off of an ARG.
Yeah, it's like an ARG that's been pretty popular on the internet for a while, and I'm not super duper familiar with it. I just remember having come across it, just looking at ARGs online. There's a channel that is actually called Night Mind that does a bunch of like breakdowns or like deep dives into different ARGs and stuff. So that's, I think, where I saw it. Anyway, but yeah, the ARG stuff is great.
Yeah.
I think I've said many times, I think that there's a lot of like potential there for horror movies in general, and so I think this is a great example of like how you can take something, you know, this existing story, existing lore, if you will,
yeah,
and kind of continue it in a new way. So yeah,
and we get the Backrooms next year.
Yeah,
I think,
very excited
right?
for that. That's a big anticipated film too. So.
All right. Well, yeah, that's that. So Shelby Oaks, it has been seen. It will be out here in 3 days, Thursday night, if you want to go check it out.
You should go check it out.
Yeah, you should.
You should, just to like support somebody from the community making a horror film, and also just to make up your own mind about it as well. Unless for some reason you're just like, I hate Chris Stuckman and I don't want to give him any money, in which case, of course, don't do it. But if you're at all curious about it and you like to see horror movies in theaters, like, you should definitely get a chance to go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a decent amount of people that are kind of like, that's it.
Probably.
Right? I think
You
that's
know,
going
some
to probably
people-
be the common
There's always
opinion.
like a group of horror fans that just, you know, they want to be shocked. Like, they're more shock fans than horror. And this
Yeah.
isn't a shocking film. This is definitely a horror film.
All without question.
Right? Like, it
Yeah.
has all of the elements of horror, but it doesn't have the shock value of something, you know, like a Terrifier.
Oh,
Or
plus
even
it
like
has, like-
Saw, potentially, right? Like, it doesn't have that kind of stuff.
Well, he also doesn't rely, and this is where I will give him tremendous credit. He relies 0% on jump scares.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I don't think that there's any jump scares. I think there was, like, maybe one stinger in the whole film that I remember.
Yeah, there's no jump scares in the movie.
But there is, you know, yeah, I feel like if you're vibing with it, like, it's the kind of film that you will get freaked out by, because when things are, like, revealed, or when you see something, again, in the background, and it does feel very inspired by Mike Flanagan in that way, because a lot of Mike Flanagan's films are similar, where there's kind of, like, little stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, if this is not your type of movie, then don't go see it to just hate on it. Or maybe do, because either way, I guess you're giving them money. I don't know what to tell you, but yeah.
Anyway. Well, that's it, guys. So, yeah. Check it out this weekend. And if you like what you see here, you can click right here and get Sinister Cinema...
Cinemanized? That doesn't work.
Cinemanized? Yeah,
Cinnamon?
cinemanized. That's fucking hard to say. Click right here and get cinemanized.
Cinnamon?
Cinnamon. Cinnamon. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.